Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and we have one of the brand new Mattel Jurassic World Wild Pack figures here to take a look at. There are two, I think, of the newest wave that are actually new figures, which would be this and the Alioramus, and I do have both actually ready for review, but obviously we're going to start with the cooler of the two, which would be the baby Brachiosaurus. And as you can see that as far as the packaging goes, it's pretty much your standard as far as, Wild Pack Camp Cretaceous packaging. Nothing super amazing, but it definitely still looks quite nice. And then if we take a look here on the back, we can see the others that are included with this wave, which is the Herrerasaurus, which we have reviewed, the baby Brachiosaurus, which we're about to, the Zuniceratops, which we have also already reviewed, and the Alioramus, which will be up for review very, very soon. So, let's pop this out of its package and take a look at it. And here is our baby Brachiosaurus, and man, is that ever nice looking. That is really, really beautiful. I think Mattel did a fantastic job on this Brachiosaurus. This actually might be the best Attack Pack, Wild Pack, whatever you'd like to call it, figure that we've ever had, and that's really saying something because I didn't know that I'd find one that I liked more than the Zuniceratops, but this one definitely has some strong potential to be a little bit higher up in the ranking than that one because it really looks great as far as the sculpting and the paint aspect of the figure goes. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our baby Brachiosaurus, you can see that it looks fantastic as far as a detailing standpoint goes. Like there is some really nice texturing to the face. The skin texture in general looks pretty much very reminiscent of the adult Brachiosaurus, but it actually looks genuinely younger than what we see on the adult Brachiosaurus. Obviously, the entire body looks younger, but I mean, even the texturing to the skin just kind of has a younger feel to it. You can see the nostrils up here on the top of the snout. You can also see some very nice detailing up here. You can see that we have kind of like some speckles on this one, like a black speckling to the Brachiosaurus, and it's actually quite abundant throughout most of the figure. You can really see it here on the snout of our Brachiosaurus. We have some very nicely painted eyes, given a nice black and a really nice gloss coat to them as well. Although I will say that the eye is not perfectly placed, but it's pretty good for the most part. This side actually looks exactly the same, like it's just slightly off. So maybe if I find one in store that has a little bit better eyes, a second time, then I'll pick that one up and change it out for this one, but unfortunately there was only one when I had found this. You can see that we actually have an articulated jaw, which is pretty cool because that's not something we get too often when it comes to, Attack Pack or Wild Pack herbivores, but you can see that we do in fact have that here on our baby Brachiosaurus. Some really nicely sculpted and really nicely painted teeth right there. You can definitely see the inside of the mouth sports a very nice realistic tone of color to it. Beautiful tongue in there, and you can also see a really nice gloss coat added to give it that really nice kind of a saliva-like look in there, so that is definitely nice. And the jaw works really well. You can see that that is beautifully articulated and can pretty much articulate to any distance that you would like it to, and it stays there perfectly. You can see a really nice tone of like a dark purple start to show up here in the center of the head, and it makes its way down the course of the neck of our Brachiosaurus. Some beautiful creasing right here in the neck region of the Brachiosaurus. You can also see that we have this kind of like a creamy color that is on the lower jaw, and that follows through here down the course of the underside of the neck and throat region, which is really quite nicely elaborated, but the skin texture in general of the neck is beautiful looking, which you can see as we run down the course of the figure. Once you reach down here into the body, the skin texture does not cease as far as that really nice detailing. It continues to look really nice and very vibrant throughout. You can kind of make out the shoulder blade a little bit right there, as well as some definitely nice muscle definition. This Brachiosaurus, the front legs are jacked for sure. This one's been certainly hitting the gym, but you can again see that we have that like speckling throughout. It's kind of showing up here and there in the legs as well of the Brachiosaurus, which I certainly do like. I actually think the abundance of the speckling is really appealing on this one. And you can see that the foot sculpt also looks beautiful. We have some really nicely sculpted nails, which do kind of seem to have like a glossy look to them, but no actual paint. I wish they would just start applying actual paint application to them, but it is nice that they seem to at least include a gloss to them, which is a plus. The texturing here to the skin also looks fantastic, and it almost seems like this Brachiosaurus has been given like a dark wash, which is really weird because that's not something that you usually see from Mattel, but I can kind of like make out like some dark wash like appearance to the paint in certain areas, like specifically out here on the tail. Like it really kind of looks like it has that. I don't know that it does, or if it's just my eyes playing tricks on me, but it certainly looks that way, and it kind of gives it the, appearance of having extra color variation, which really makes it have a bit more of a realistic appearance overall. But again, back to the stomach region, you can see some pretty decent girth in the belly of our baby Brachiosaurus, as well as, again, a detailing aspect that is just beautiful throughout. As you move back here into the hip region, you can see the hip bone a little bit right there. Also some beautiful muscle definition back here, just like we see in the front leg, but not quite as defined as what you see up here, but definitely quite nice regardless. You can also see the kneecap right there, as well as, yet again, a beautiful foot sculpt down here with some nicely sculpted toes and nails. And then moving back up into the tail, you can see a really nice tail for our baby Brachiosaurus. Also has a pretty nice looking curve to it, and you can definitely see an abundance of those speckles out here. But again, also just like, it seems like there's just variation of color out here that's really nice to see, but kind of hard to exactly figure out how it's applied. But you can also see that that kind of creamy color here on the underside runs the course of almost the entire dinosaur, but cuts off before the tail. It would have been awesome if it went out into the tail, but I'm really impressed to see so much of it in general. We do have the Jurassic Facts app code here if you would like to add this to your collection. And then as far as the figure goes, on the opposing side, you're really not going to see too much difference, especially in this one, because honestly, it almost is in a totally neutral position. You can see that the legs are almost in the exact same position, just slightly different, I would say. So there's really not much difference, just some slightly different positioning for the legs, but other than that, the sculpt continues to look exactly the same, I would say, on this side as what we had seen on the previous side, which means that it looks beautiful. You can see the spinal column running down the back of the dinosaur quite nicely, and the detailing on the underside and everything is just pretty much extraordinarily gorgeous, as you always seem to get from Mattel. So an absolutely beautiful baby Brachiosaurus from Mattel, and I definitely think this is one of the best Wild Pack figures or Attack Pack style figures that we've ever had. As far as articulation, of course, we have already discussed the articulated jaw, but we also have articulation in the neck. You can see the neck can go up quite far, and it can also come down pretty far. It looks a little awkward when it gets to that point, similar actually to the adult Brachiosaurus we've had in the past from Mattel, but it doesn't look terrible. And you also have articulation in the legs, of course, really nicely. As far as all of them are concerned, it really nicely articulates. I don't know, yeah, we do actually have a swivel tail as well, so quite a bit of articulation, but pretty much your standard articulation for an Attack Pack or Wild Pack style figure. As far as a size goes, if we keep the neck up like this, for a length, we're looking at about 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters. Of course, we can make that a little longer by extending the neck like that, and now we're looking at about 8 inches or 20 centimeters. And then as far as a height, and again, we're not going to put the neck up all the way, just where I would say is probably a comfortable position for the dinosaur. You're looking at about 4.5 inches or a little under 11.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovisaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to our Wild Pack Brachiosaurus, the baby Brachiosaurus, and you can definitely get a good idea of the size of the figure, I would think, here. But you can also see just generally how much larger the Brachiosaurus is than your standard kind of Attack Pack. I mean, I feel like the body's similarly sized, sort of, to the Colovisaurus here, but you can see it's obviously a lot taller and just kind of has more body mass to it. But being a baby sauropod, especially a Brachiosaurus, you would expect that. So it is nice to see that Mattel has gone the extra mile as far as creating a little bit of a larger version of a Wild Pack for the baby Brachiosaurus. And then for another comparison, here is the baby in comparison to the adult Brachiosaurus, which, that head and neck just goes on for miles. But you can see that that baby version is obviously significantly smaller than the adult version, and the adult version just completely towers over everything and anything from Mattel so far. But hopefully this gives you an idea as far as what the family portrait here looks like. So this brand new Wild Pack baby Brachiosaurus from Mattel for the Jurassic World Dino Escape line, Camp Cretaceous actually, Dino Escape line, is a really beautiful figure. Definitely one of my favorite Wild Pack or Attack Pack style figures yet, because first of all, it's a baby Brachiosaurus, and I don't think I ever expected Mattel to give us an adult Brachiosaurus. I certainly didn't expect them to give us a baby Brachiosaurus, and although it's a species that we've already had, I love the fact that they've given us a baby version of it, because it is something, first of all, that has been seen in the Jurassic films, and especially in Camp Cretaceous, but it's also just awesome to have adult and babies of a certain species of dinosaur in the Jurassic World line, giving you a family technically, and you could of course buy 2 adult Brachiosaurus if you really wanted to have an entire family, and maybe even like an entire gang of babies and create one giant family. But the Brachiosaurus here is absolutely gorgeous as far as the sculpt goes, really nicely and very highly detailed as always when it comes to a Mattel figure. They don't ever skimp out when it comes to detail, it seems, on their figures, and this Wild Pack Brachiosaurus is a prime example of that. But I also love the paintwork of this one because the really nice tones of gray, I feel like, are very nicely reminiscent to the adult version that they've already released, like very similar tones of gray. And then they also have that kind of hint of like a purple that runs down the back of the head and neck and back of the dinosaur in general. And that's something that I always felt like was on the original Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus. You kind of had like a purplish tint in certain angles of it. And they've really replicated that quite nicely on this baby version, but also just kind of giving it a little bit of difference between the baby and the adult, kind of a little bit of a flashier look. And then I would imagine as it gets older, maybe its coloration might fade a little bit and it would look more like the adult version that we've had from Mattel already. So a really cool idea there. I'm not sure if that's the idea behind it or if I just look too far into things, but I definitely like that aspect of the figure. And all of the paintwork is really nice and naturally applied as well. And the fact that it almost seems like it has kind of like a dark wash in certain areas really impresses me because I feel like it amps up the overall realism of the figure quite a bit. So that is definitely a plus as well. I love the fact that we have an articulated jaw on the baby. Also, something I actually did not expect and was quite surprised to see when I had seen some images of other people's online. I was definitely really excited to see that there was an articulated jaw included on the figure, and it works perfectly on top of everything else. So if this is something you are interested in, make sure you check your local Walmart and Target, as that's pretty much, I believe, where they've been showing up. I actually don't know if they've been showing up at Target quite yet. Definitely at Walmart, but I'm not 100% sure at Target. I think they're as well. So it should only be a matter of time before these are everywhere and you'll have no problem picking one up, or so I hope. But one way or another, if you do in fact find it, make sure you pick it up. It is an awesome baby Brachiosaurus, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.